Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory and today is Tuesday, January the 16th, 2018. And I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming back for the first time in 2018, Mr. Rob Kirby of Kirby Analytics. Rob, welcome back.
Pleasure to be with you again and Happy New Year, Rory.
Well, Happy New Year to you. Let's just jump in and make something happen.
Hey, let's wing it.
It really is. It's out of control, my friend. Out of control.
Let's just say if the whole machine isn't out of control, certainly parts of it are.
I'm going with the whole thing.
Well,
there's too many big pieces that are out of line, that are tilting some of the smaller pieces. That's the way that I see it, anyway.
Yeah. No, we've got it all. Geopolitically things are, they make no sense. Unless you're looking at it through the, I don't want to say rose-colored glasses, but if you look at it through the contorted, twisted eyes of the globalists, they can't be happy with what they're seeing either.
Oh no, I would say that they are. I'd say that there's a faction that's very unhappy with what's happening, if not all of them.
They're all paranoid.
I think so.
Trump is really. He is a real wrench in the gears of what they wanted to do in the world.
I think so. Yeah. I agree. Some of what he does, it's like, oh my goodness, is he playing the part that he's supposed to be playing? And then there's other times when it's like, well, there's hope,
Yeah.
It's but they keep fighting him. I wanted to ask you, Rob, about now. Today is January the 16th, and in 2 days, supposedly, the Chinese are going to unleash this new oil benchmark priced in yuan. That's supposed to come to the table on the 18th. I don't think they're going to make that mark. They might, but probably not, in my opinion. Just based on their history with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or not that, but the Shanghai Gold Exchange, the way that whole thing unfolded, and just the way that they move. What do you see as being, or how do you see this yuan benchmark in oil? How do you see that impacting what's happening? And just for added flavor, do you think that what Maduro has done with this El Petro, do you think that plays any role at all?
Well, my view of it is, globally, countries are moving away from dollar-denominated trade.
Yes,
that's a reality.
Yes.
So whether or not China starts trading this contract on Friday, or 3 Fridays from now, or Friday next year, to me it's irrelevant.
Okay.
Because clearly countries around the world are moving away from dollar-denominated trade, and that is a, like, even if you want to consider it a slow-moving steamroller, it's going in one direction. It's not backing up. And this is, in my view, it's an unstoppable force. And the reason it's happening is because the Anglo-American banking axis, financial leadership in America, has been extremely poor stewards of the world's reserve currency.
Yes.
That's not Trump's fault.
No. No, that's been in play long before he got here.
This has been going on for 30, 40 years. This has been going on really since Nixon closed the gold window.
There you have it.
Okay? So when you act irresponsibly with the stewardship of the world's reserve currency, it should come as no surprise to anybody who's thinking clearly that you get relieved of your duties. It's no more surprising than anybody who's insubordinate in their job. They get relieved of their duties.
That's a great way of putting it, because that's exactly what's happened.
But I mean, to think that this won't continue, and to think that this job won't be completed, is folly and ridiculousness. And to me, the true measure of just how grossly insubordinate and how grossly, disgustingly, the world's reserve currency has been managed, we need to only really consider the notion put forward by the likes of Dr. Mark Skidmore, working in conjunction with Catherine Fitz, where they've identified $21 trillion. Basically, I call it mystery money. It's dark money. It's been created out of thin air. So these people who've been acting as stewards of the world's reserve currency, they've created a whole lot of off-book money. Like an insane amount of off-book money. What's global GDP? Is global GDP 50 trillion?
That's
probably a ballpark number.
Yeah, that's about right, though.
And I mean, but and lo and behold, we've got like two departments. We've got two departments of the U.S. government that have created $21 trillion off book. We haven't even audited the rest of the departments of the U.S. government. So if they can't manage their duties better than that, like, do they deserve to have another try? No,
they do not. And you had mentioned Trump, and he actually stated a few years back. This is a direct quote. We used to have a very solid country because it was based on a gold standard for it. We do not have that anymore. One of the problems is we do not have the gold. Other places have the gold. End quote. So as far as Trump, people trying to pin all of this nonsense, all this nightmare that we're dealing with, people trying to pin that on him. All you have to do is look to that one statement. I mean, and before he was president or running for president, he actually stated that the dollar was in a lot of trouble, and that it was a problem, and that he wanted to deal in gold, and that's why he actually opened up. He was conducting business at the time with gold, where he accepted gold bullion for down payment for some property that he was renting. And the whole contract for that property, I believe, was based on gold, that the whole transaction was based on gold bullion, period. But I'm not 100% on that, so don't hold me to it.
Well, you know what, Rory, what you can be 100% on, and it should come as no surprise to anybody who's aware of what goes on, or even from a glancing blow standpoint, if you know how to spell gold, you would know that anybody who would be an advocate of it would be an enemy of the powers that be.
Yes.
So it's no surprise from the get-go that Trump would be an enemy of the system.
Now, I want to go ahead.
No, it's just the system. The system is so wickedly, abhorrently against gold it's to say there's a conspiracy against gold. It's sort of like saying you need air to breathe. I mean, it's and people who deny conspiracy against gold are utter fools, or shills, or both.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And with gold right now, gold has been on the move for the past couple of years since it bottomed out in December 2015, and it's moved to higher lows and continues to move north. Silver is kind of following along, not quite as much as gold, but doing its thing. And for some reason, Rob, sentiment in the early part or the late part of 2017 and here in the early stages of 2018, sentiment seems to be extremely high and very optimistic about gold this year and into next year and even into 2020, 2021 and beyond. I mean, do you share that sentiment, or how do you see all of this playing out over the next couple of years as far as gold and silver? Are they going to continue moving in the right direction, or are we going to start backsliding under the weight of this manipulation?
I feel that there's a very strong chance that this year we may see the realities of there being too few physical ounces in the system to tolerate the constant barrage of paper selling that we've witnessed in recent years. Put a little more simply, or in more layman's terms, the fraud that's been conducted against the precious metals has been done so with paper contracts for metal, which does not exist in the real world. And to continue this scam, a certain amount of physical ounces must be put into the marketplace to make. And I think this could be the year where those physical ounces just are not available, which will expose the paper shenanigans for the scam that they really are. And we may see prices in precious metals rocket up this year. My contention has long been that once the paper scam is fully exposed and fully discredited and becomes a non-factor in the world in terms of price discovery, that the prices of precious metals could go up dramatically in a very short period of time. And this may be the year when we actually see that happen.
I hope you're right. And I kind of get the feeling that there seems to be that what you just expressed, that seems to be kind of the underlying foundation of the gold bug community. The people that do recognize, that do understand the manipulation, that accept manipulation as part of what we're dealing with. I'm not talking about the other people that don't accept that don't understand it. I'm not concerned with them because, like you said, they have an agenda, or they're ignorant, or both. And just this morning, Sputnik News actually released an article. It plainly points to Russia and China introducing some type of gold alternative to the dollar. And do you see that as being part of this conversation that we're having, or do you see it happening in another form? I mean, we already know that Russia is selling gold, or that Russia and China are trading gold. They both have stated they're not trading gold. Russia is sending gold into China, and they did for all of 2017. We presume that that's going to continue because they said it was going to continue into 2018. So we know that they're doing some type of gold trade between the two, and that's well documented. And now we see that Russia and China are going to open up markets to help the other BRICS nations to acquire gold. And now, like I said, this morning we find out that they are seriously talking about some type of gold dollar alternative. Is this going to is this where you see it materializing? Is in Russia, China, one or the other, or a combination of the two coming out of one of these economic alliances? How do you see it manifesting?
I think you have the pieces, or some of the pieces, the right way around, Rory. What I see happening is a movement that'll be led by China and Russia, and will have early adopters, very likely from India and other Asian nations. That precious metals will very likely become cryptoized or put on the blockchain, which will bring transparency to the price discovery process, because cryptoized assets cannot be sold more than once, because the very nature of the blockchain disallows something from being sold over and over and over again. And as precious metals, physical precious metals, are put on the blockchain, they will be viewed, at least in my mind, they will be viewed as a superior means of holding or getting direct exposure to precious metals. Cryptoized precious metal will be seen as a superior to owning a COMEX futures contract, or a GLD share, or an SLV share in the case of silver. And these cryptoized precious metals, with transparency in the price discovery, will, in my view, render these paper-backed instruments, whether it's a COMEX contract, a GLD share, or an LBMA contract, it's gonna render these things, quite useless and unacceptable to the investing community, because people will, I believe, migrate to the surety of knowing that when they buy cryptoized metal, it's real metal that really exists, and I think investors and people who want exposure to real physical metal will take comfort in knowing that they actually have a claim on real metal, rather than being the 300th person that's been sold a claim on an ounce that may or may not be in a COMEX vault, or an LBMA vault, or in GLD's cage, wherever it is.
Without being audited. I mean, you can't even audit GLD.
Well, exactly. And you see, what cryptoized precious metal will bring to the table. It will bring the feature of being redeemable in specie. Let's just say institutional investors will be able to settle in physical metal if they so choose. And this, is so dramatically different than what GLD. You have to be an authorized dealer to be able to supposedly exchange bundles of GLD shares for physical. So that limits the ability to get physical metal basically to the bullion banks. And with cryptoized physical metal, this will become it'll be so superior to what we currently have, Rory. I can't see these existing and in my mind, fraudulent scams continuing.
I can't either. I really don't see them having the fortitude. I don't see people. I think that that as more people become educated. This is the one thing that I really like about cryptocurrencies and what they've done is that they've brought all of these people to the table. And now all of these people that have been brought to the quote unquote currency table, they're now becoming educated to what currency actually is and what it means. And as they learn what currency is and what it means and how it functions, then they're going to learn about money and what it is and how it functions and the differences between money and currency and the differences between digital blips on a screen and physical gold in your hand. And I think that's the one thing that I really, truly appreciate about what's happening with the cryptocurrencies. And with that, I want to ask you, Rob, what's on your radar for 2018 as far as either an inflection point or a turning? What are you on the lookout for as far as a signal to you that things have really changed, or that just what are you seeing, and what are you paying attention to at this point?
I'm looking for the rise of asset-backed crypto currencies, and I believe that this is the year that we will see large-scale creation and adoption of asset-backed crypto money, and this process, I think, is underway right now, and I think it's going to pick up. It's going to pick up in its speed, and then adoption will become, I think, a big buzzword as we move through this year. And what cryptocurrencies, I think, have done more than anything is they've demonstrated, at least to me, what free markets really trade like. And you look at the extreme volatility that we've seen in the crypto space. It's been quite remarkable, and this is the kind of price action that we used to see in precious metals 30, 40 years ago, before the powers that be learned to control them through futures. And it's quite remarkable when people get a taste of free markets. They become very willing participants, even with extreme volatility. They become willing participants to play in free markets, whereas the precious metals markets, the futures dictated precious metals markets, interest in playing the futures on precious metals is waning, while physical uptake by let's just say the Asian nations and Russia continues dramatically at dramatically heightened levels, and we don't see it wanting to abate at all. The demand for physical precious metal has never been higher, and what I'm seeing is the demand for the paper product in the precious metals is, at least in my view, it's waning.
I would agree. I think that once again, I'm looking at the impact that the cryptocurrencies are having on all the markets, as far as people becoming better educated as to what's actually happening, and the frauds and the scams that are out there. We'll call them GLD, COMEX, LBMA, SLV. These are all scams. They're frauds. And I think that people are learning that. I think that they're also learning about quantitative easing and the scam that it is, and the LIBOR rigging, and all of these rigged markets. I think that people are beginning to see that in earnest. At least I hope that they are anyway. I hope that they're not just kind of floundering around going, "Hey man, I'm getting rich." Woo-hoo! I hope that they're actually getting educated, or at least a measurable percentage of them anyway.
One thing that stands out in my mind very clearly, Rory, is that it was 5 days after Dr. Mark Skidmore did an interview with Greg Hunter that the White House announced a complete and full audit of the Department of Defense of the Pentagon. 5 days after Dr. Mark Skidmore spoke about $21 trillion of dark money that the Department of Defense claims that they've had, but don't know where they spent it or put it. And this gobsmacking amount of money, unaccounted for money or undocumented money, has really ruffled some feathers, I believe, in the Bush administration, or sorry, in the Trump administration, and it seems that this has really created a stir now, and it's this dark money, by the way, Rory, that allows the powers that be to rig markets.
Yes.
Because this unaccounted for or unrecognized or not acknowledged to exist pool of dark money is the muscle that the powers that be use to prop up stock markets, control metals prices through the naked selling of futures, through purchasing of U.S. government debt when foreigners are abandoning it, and this pool or slush fund of dark money is so enormous it boggles minds, and people have trouble getting their heads around the enormity of the size of this dark money. But I do believe foreign nations are getting their heads around it, and I do believe that their growing understanding of the extent to which this dark money has been created and exists is only going to hasten their exit from a dollar-centric world and hasten the move into asset-backed crypto money, because I think people the world over are coming to the very, very real understanding that the US dollars that are in existence really aren't worth the paper that they're printed on.
And there you have it. They are not. They clearly state that this piece of paper that you hold is good to pay off debt. It's good for debt. It doesn't say anything about anything else. This is good for debt. Private, public, debt.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know right there.
Well, you know what, Rory? People might do well to remember that it was back in the late '60s when America had adopted a guns and butter policy, and were spending much more money and creating many more dollars than their gold reserves would back. Was first really recognized by France, and it was I believe it was Johnson who said, our dollars, or it was either Johnson or Nixon, I forget which president made the statement, our dollars are as good as gold, because part of the condition of granting America world reserve currency status was that they backed their currency by gold at a rate of $35 per ounce of gold, where internationally countries could, if they so chose, could redeem dollars for gold at a rate of $35 per troy ounce. And when the President of the United States made the statement in the late 60s and said our dollars are as good as gold, it was the French leader Charles de Gaulle who said, "Then give me gold."
Yes.
And that is what ultimately led to President Nixon closing the gold window in August of 1971, because the run on the U.S. Treasury's gold was such that America knew that they would soon have no gold. And I would actually dispute the notion that America possesses the gold they claim to have today.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are with you on that. I think that it's, Mnuchin said that the gold is safe. He didn't say that it was there, but he said gold is safe. And, well, yeah, gold is safe. It's the possession that we're concerned with.
Yeah, or how many times it's been sold or
right,
or promised elsewhere.
How many claims against it?
Exactly.
So, well, Rob, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. This has been awesome. This has been one of the best interviews that I've done with you, and I really am very excited about 2018, and I'm really excited about speaking with you again in the near future, because I want to keep close tabs on your thoughts and as this year plays out. And
I think we're in for a very exciting year. I really do, Rory.
I think so too. I think it's going to be. I think that optimism right now is very, very high, and I want to continue riding that high as long as possible. And I hope that I think that there's a lot of people that feel the same way. And I would say get out and I do want to ask you one more question, Rob. When we were talking about when you were talking about the cryptocurrencies being asset backed, which in my mind it's gold, silver, oil, corn, whatever, that you have these asset backed cryptocurrencies. What would that actually mean for you and me, for just the regular Joe on the street? If there are asset backed, if say China or Russia combination, one of the economic alliances that they are head of, come out and say, well, we have this new asset backed cryptocurrency. It's called XYZ, and it's going to be issued at so many rubles per ounce of gold, and blah blah blah. What would that mean to you and me?
To me, the real question, Rory, is what would honest commerce mean to you and me? Okay. Well, honest commerce to you and me would mean that we would very likely see a return to a world where capital earns an appropriate rate of return if it's lent, which is a condition we currently do not have. I think we would see a return to a world where savers are not punished, where pension funds and insurance companies could invest their assets and make a fair return on them, and not be forced way down the risk curve to taking silly risk to cover their nut. So that's the kind of world that I see coming with a return to honest commerce. Honest commerce is a good platform from which to have good international relations. Foisting empty dollars on countries around the world whom you trade with that are created out of thin air is not conducive to peaceable international relations, which is why the world is in the mess it's in today. At least a big part of why the world is in the mess it's in today, in my view anyway. When global trade is denominated in dollars, which America can print out of thin air in infinite amounts, and then exchange that for the fruits of labor of all countries around the world, in my view, that trivializes labor, it trivializes effort, it trivializes capital, and it leads to a beggar thy neighbor world, which, in my view, is a good descriptive of the world we're living in right now. And any attempt to move us back towards honest commerce will certainly improve, at least in my view, will improve global relationships, but that will come only at a cost of reduced living standards, unfortunately, for rank and file Americans. But that's where we're headed, and that's what I basically see as being the impact in a return to honest commerce.
Well, I hope we get there sooner than later, because I agree that honest commerce is, and I've long said that is one of the legs of the foundation of liberty that we stand on, period. And once the currency becomes corrupt, then the entire system has to become corrupt in order to sustain the lie that the currency is telling. And that's the system that we've had since 1913. Then it became exacerbated in 1971. And now, hopefully, I pray to God that system is coming to an end. And I hope that it ends sooner than later.
Rory, I share that sentiment, and I just hope it ends peaceably.
Yes.
And I hope that the powers that be do not decide to let's just say threaten the world with nuclear war to maintain the status quo.
Let's hope that that's not the case. We've been speaking with Rob Kirby, and you can find all of Rob's great work over at CirbyAnalytics.com. Rob, I really appreciate it. I really look forward to speaking with you in the not too distant future, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
And I wish you the same, and have a very pleasant and prosperous 2018.
Thank you so much.